push-ups. I've been doing sit-ups. I've been doing chin-ups. I've been doing pull-ups. I threw up once, but I'm okay now.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a Tuesday edition of the Ysn Power Hour, presented proudly by our friends at Toyota of Warren. DJ Yoakley with you, and we got a great show for you today. A couple of interviews that I am really excited for. We have one from the athletic director of East Palestine, Ysn Power, one of my near and dear friends, a guy that when we started Ysn, literally before this even happened, before Ysn was even created, I went to Ysn Power, who just became the AD at the time for East Palestine. And I said, what do you think about this? What do you think? How would this go over in the Mahoning Valley? And he has been a supporter since day one. And I am excited to be able to interview him today. There's been a lot going on. Obviously, everybody knows in East Palestine. But my man gets an award for ethics and integrity. And no one at this point, at this clip over the last 3 years, has probably been through more adversity than that guy, especially with the train derailments over the last few months. And of course, COVID over, from 2020, Ysn Power has done more with just little resources. You know what I mean? He's done an incredible job. He's always put the kids first. He's always been able to continue to put East Palestine on a pedestal. And as an East Palestinian, as a guy who graduated as a Bulldog, I can't appreciate that anymore. We have him on the show. He's going to talk about what it means to win an award like this, and naturally, how things have been in East Palestine from his perspective as an athletic director, as an administrator since the derailment. So excited to have him on. We also, coming up in just a few minutes, going to have one of the state's best goalies in the sport of lacrosse. Ava Hedrick is going to be with us here on the Power Hour. Excited to have her on for the first time ever. She is a lovely young lady. Again, the Spartan leader on this lacrosse team, and the Spartan lacrosse team relatively young, so their record doesn't reflect necessarily the potential that program has at Boardman. So I'm excited to talk to her, and as she continues to etch her name in the history books, not only in Boardman, but in the state of Ohio, from the goalie standpoint. So Ava's going to join us here a little bit. But right now we're going to take you through what is going to be on the network here tonight on ysnlive.com/live. Our games at a glance schedule looks to be up, and there's a lot of green on it. As you look outside, it is deceiving. It's a little bit chilly out there, but it looks sunny as all get out. So make sure you get out and enjoy a little bit of that vitamin D, right? It's D? Sunny D? Yeah, we're right. That's how I remember it. Sunny D, vitamin D. Get some of that sunshine out there. Baseball tonight, 4:30, just coming up in a little bit. Sam Torres is going to have Kirtland at Edgewood. We also have 5 p.m. Boardman at Canfield. Landon has that one. Joe Eusebio is going to have part 1 of 2 of Columbiana versus United. That one's going to be at the Eagles Nest at 5 p.m. Lakeview and Poland doing battle. Cooper is going to have the coverage on that also at 5 p.m. Springfield at Mineral Ridge on Scene 1. Matt Morrison all over the coverage there at Scene Park. Scott Henthorne and Quinn Pushkar going to be on the call for Latonia at Lisbon at 5 p.m. Springfield also going to be taking part in a doubleheader. So Matt Morrison gets a double scoop of that ice cream cone with Springfield and Mineral Ridge, both games on Scene 1. So That is your baseball coverage today. Just a cancellation update as Heartland and Lisbon has been canceled for today. Obviously, Lisbon playing a game against Latonia, so they can't be two places at once. But you can head on over to ysnlive.com /live and take in one of these games today. Even if you're at another game, enjoy some of the golden pipes of YSN on your device. Highland and Archbishop Hope and Ty Bartell is going to have that one for you. Pardon me. Softball, that's at 5 p.m. And Anthony Hartwig will have you covered. Lakeview at Poland, that also is at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is a complete look at all the games here on the network tonight. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games on the network if you're looking to partake, and I hope you do. A lot of games tomorrow as well. We are just loaded up with games. We got a skeleton crew, so keep your ears and your eyes on lock because we're going to be to bringing more people in the YSN kingdom, so to speak. And we're looking for people that are want to work hard, are enthusiastic, and want to represent a particular school and a particular company as well as they possibly can. So if that sounds like something that you'd like to do, make sure you can get ahead and get a jump by sending a message to one of our great social media people and personalities. Go on to ysnlive.com. You can message us on there. And, of course, you can utilize the old email system. You can email info at ysnlive.com. Tell us why you'd make a good teammate here at YSN. We appreciate it. Again, a ton of games, 9 games tonight on the network. We'll have that. We also have a ton of games that we're going to tell you about that aren't there. We won't be at, but we, at least to this point, we think they are still on this Tuesday, April 25th. Struthers at Niles is on. South Range at Hubbard, and NE8 Battle as well is on. Brook at East Liverpool looks to be on. Cardinal Mooney at Howland is a go. Conneaut at Grand Valley is thumbs up. Garrettsville Garfield at Crestview, that's going to be a dandy of a game. That is good to go. Girard at Jefferson is good. Jackson Milton Sebring still on the way. LeBray and Brookfield is good to go. Lowellville and Western Reserve tonight, 5 o'clock. Newton Falls and Liberty at 5 p.m. as well. Then you have Southeast at JFK. Ursuline at Lakewood St. Ed's. Again, that if you can get out there, if you can carve out some time to get out there, that might be a nice little ball game to watch because Ursuline, to me, has yet to hit their peak this season, and that would be a big win if they can get St. Ed's. That might even propel them up the rankings from 10 into maybe the top 5. I don't know what the stats look like on it, but I mean, looking at algorithm that a lot of people are complaining about, that could be one of those games that gets them over the hump. Waterloo at McDonald at 5 p.m. as well. Then you turn to the softball diamond. 4 p.m. Wyndham at Badger. 6 p.m. Wyndham at Badger as well. Boardman at Canfield. That's at 5. Also at 5, Mooney and Howland. Cheney and East doing battle on the softball diamond at 5 p.m. East Palestine at Beaver Local. Also, you've got Garrettsville Garfield at Crestview, just like the boys. That game 5 p.m. Girard at Jefferson. Jackson Milton at Sebring. LeBray at Brookfield. Wellsville at Western Reserve, Minerva at Salem. Then you've got Newton Falls at Liberty, South Range at Hubbard. You also have Springfield at Mineral Ridge, Struthers at Niles, Ursuline versus Akron St. V's. That's at Firestone Park in Akron. Then you have Waterloo at McDonald, Latonia at Lisbon, and we already said Wyndham at Badger. That's actually a 6:30 game. And then another 6:30 game is going to be Springfield at Mineral Ridge. Canceled tonight. Pymatuning Valley at Lakeside. You also have Champion at Camel Memorials canceled twice over. Camel at Latonia, and somehow they're playing 2 games. And then East Liverpool at Lisbon is East Liverpool Christian at Lisbon. Girls softball has been canceled for tonight as well. One of the biggest things right now is this weather. This weather's absolutely crazy. And taking a look at the Storm Tracker 21 forecast, it looks like we got a lot of rain on the way. So athletic directors, coaches trying to get these games in as quickly as they can, as much as they can, even if it's double headers. You look at Scene Park, utilizing Scene Park in a situation like that. Bob Bean playing it smart. Let's go. Let's play 2. Let's play 2 so we can get this out of the way because we don't know what the weather holds for us here in the next week or so. So if you just a flat, honest to gosh assessment, ads, coaches, if you can get these games in, get them in as much as you can while the sun is shining, while the birds are chirping, because there is some adverse weather on its way. At this time, we're going to bring in a young lady who hopefully becomes a household name after this interview, and someone I'm really excited to talk to because she is at the top of the states, in the top 5. I think last time I checked, top 3 as one of the best goalies in the sport of lacrosse. Ladies and gentlemen, let's bring in Ava Hedrick. How are you, Ava? It's nice to see you. Good to see you on the show. We appreciate your time, but certainly your excellence on the lacrosse, is it the field, the pitch? What do you call it there?
For me, it's called the cage, like my dad.
The cage. All right. I appreciate that. Coming from a baseball catcher, right?
Mhm.
Someone who gets very little respect. The pitchers get everything. Naturally, when it comes to the sport of lacrosse, I feel like goalies, the lady in the cage like yourself, you're going to be kind of, while you're a featured player, you're also easily forgotten about, and a lot of people can point the finger if that ball goes through and into the net. What's the pressure like whenever it's a game like that for you in a match, and you're sitting there and you feel like all eyes are on you when there's a breakaway or there's a penalty shot or anything like that? What's that like? What's going through your mind?
The pressure is pretty intense, especially because as a goalie, you're an individual along with your team. And you're right, like you are that last line of defense. You can even say I'm the first line of offense as well, but you can't let your team down. It's really up to you in those final moments, whether they're in front of my it's called the goalie crease, which is where they can't step in but they can shoot from, or if they're 5 feet, 10 feet back. It's really intense, and it's definitely a peculiar taste. Not a lot of people like goalie, but I personally love it. I love the pressure.
What else is it about goalie that you love being able to? I mean, I know whenever I was 11, 12 years old and I put on the tools of ignorance, as they say, as a catcher, there were a lot of people questioning my mental ability and I might be crazy. What is it that about, suiting up and being the goalie that you really enjoy?
I love being a leader, and I also love helping my team. So being able, because you're really a commander out there, like you can see, from my point of view, you can see the entire field, everything that's happening in front of you. So, it's your job to communicate to the defensive players, like, hey, watch this girl coming in, or watch this crease roll. It's really important I just love being that leader. I love helping my team and communicating with my team. Especially as a goalie, your team respects you and they come to you for things. And so I just love that aspect of it as well.
Now you're a senior, you're looking to hopefully potentially play at the next level. Lacrosse is the fastest growing sport, not only in the area, but in the country. But there's still a lot of people and a lot of IQ that needs to be examined and learned about the sport. What drew you to lacrosse in the first place, and why?
Honestly, I was a swimmer for a really long time, and I was always good, but I was never great. And I always wanted to be great. You grow up and your parents always tell you you're special, but as a sport, you can really tell what separates the good from the great. And I always wanted that. And I remember I just quit swimming, and my dad told me, he's like, you need to join a sport. Like, I get you don't want to do swimming, that's fine, but you need to do a sport. And lacrosse program at Boardman had just started. And so as a freshman, I entered in that year. I did not know that I was going to be a goalie. And that year actually got cut for me because that was COVID.
Yep.
That was my freshman year. So my sophomore year, when we had a season, there was a senior goalie ahead of me. She didn't like it, but she was very, very good. But she was going to be graduating. So my coach was like, hey, like, does anybody want to try to be goalie? And I just had this like voice in my head saying like, just do it. And ever since then, I've loved it ever since.
You mentioned that this is a very young program at Boardman, one that you have placed a foundational brick on, obviously, with all the success that you've had in the crease and in the cage. So, I mean, where do you want this program to go? Where do you expect it to go? And how can you help potentially get them there with the last, 3-4 weeks of the season?
Definitely, as you mentioned before, lacrosse is the fastest growing sport. And as we can see in Cleveland and in the Erie areas and the Columbus areas, lacrosse is huge. I mean, I've been to so many tournaments down there where people come from all over the country just to, get that college search going, to get colleges looking at them. And I think in our area, it's definitely started to hit, especially in Canfield. They've had a very good program. But as it's growing, I've heard, I'm going to be helping they're creating it's called 224 Club. And it's basically all the counties around us and all this, like the little areas around us, like Youngstown, Poland, Canfield, they're all getting together and starting a club team. Because personally for me, my club team was an hour and a half away.
Oh,
That was
wow.
the closest one. There's like nothing around here for it. So I'm just helping build and like place these building blocks for that future because Boardman, Canfield, Poland, we could be, state winners in time, just like Columbus is. So it's just building that up and helping and giving the right training for it.
That's incredible to be able to build from that 224 corridor outward and hopefully bring in some major awards. Okay, so we hear about lacrosse, and we're going to end with a question here on the lacrosse side of things. Ty Bartell wants to know, with all the new eyes shifting to lacrosse recently, what are some of the big misinterpretations about lacrosse as a sport that you've discovered over the past few years?
People consider it, girls and boys lacrosse is very different. And I would say that that's one of the bigger misconceptions is because there's a lot of different rules in that, but they're both equally fun to watch. I think, honestly, people might see, oh, it's too much of soccer, it's too much of hockey, it's like a mix of all sports. The two things is that boys and girls lacrosse is very different and that it's a very fun sport to actually watch, and it's all technique, and it's honestly a really beautiful sport. So I think honestly, as it's getting bigger, the two biggest misconceptions is that boys and girls is different and it's fun to watch actually.
Where do you learn more about lacrosse? Do you find yourself watching it on television? I know people that want to learn more about baseball that maybe didn't, grow up with a baseball coach in their household or down the street. They watch a lot of baseball and they get kind of the narrative from the announcers. How do you educate yourself on the sport, and essentially how do you get yourself better if you're in a spot by yourself?
Definitely through like even small stuff like Instagram Reels. I see it all the time over there, and it's just there's so many coach videos online about like the tiny stuff, like how to do this dodge around a defender, or just like one on like wall ball. There's so much on the internet now because there's so much to learn about the sport, and people love learning about a sport and finding new ways to do different things. As I've seen even on like ESPN too, they're like doing all the college games, and just like on Instagram, I see a bunch of like how-to videos. So it's honestly been really fun. You can just go online and find so many detailed videos to each different position on the field.
This is incredible. So you're one of the most popular guests we've had because they're delivering questions for you, Ava. Tim Figley chimes in and says, "Who's your favorite college lacrosse team?"
I really love, or you have to love Boston. I mean, the girls' Boston lacrosse team is they're a powerhouse out there.
So, I mean, from a standpoint where you want to land, you mentioned that you want to go on and potentially play at the next level. It's tough because there aren't many teams around here from a lacrosse standpoint. Who would you want to play for? I mean, do you have teams there that you're actively going out and presenting yourself and like almost reverse recruiting yourself out there to try to get on the teams? And how important is that to you at the next level to go to play, a sport in college?
I actually just recently emailed YSU because they have a very, very good lacrosse program. So I just emailed them recently, and I would love to even have the opportunity to talk to them. But I've reached out to a couple other D2s, such as like Malone and Edinburgh and stuff like that. So I have some offers, but I really would love to play at the next level.
So naturally, with college, you're a student athlete, the same as you are in high school. What things, I mean, you come from a family full of just brilliance. I'm sure that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. What do you want to do potentially for a career someday? And what do you want to study in college?
I'm definitely looking at the business journalism side of things. It's definitely, as you know, my father, he was a journalist for a long time. He runs a brand company. So obviously I have a lot of that in me, and I'm really passionate about that. So I'm trying to go somewhere in that and find my niche.
I like it. If you could pick one corporation or brand that you'd love to be able to control the marketing aspect of it, what would it be and why?
That's a pretty tough question. Sorry, you can see my cat.
I love it.
I think I would really love to do maybe I know it's quite a big corporation, but maybe like Ulta Beauty or something like that. I just feel like they're kind of getting out of touch with more younger generations as they're coming up, and definitely advertise to girls more my age instead of always reaching out to the older generation. I feel like I would love to do that.
I love it. And that's off the beaten path. Usually with that question, we get Google, Dick's Sporting Goods, stuff like that.
Mhm.
I dig that. Very, very cool. All right. So from your perspective, let's get to know Ava a little better. What is your favorite subject in school?
Sorry. I love English. I'm in actually AP Literature and Composition right now. I've taken both AP Englishes. I just love reading. I love just learning about, you can learn so much history through reading as well. And I've had nothing but amazing English teachers who've helped me and develop my writing style. So definitely English.
Do you pack or buy at school?
I do both.
Okay, what is the number one lunch at Boardman High that you will not miss, unless there was tragedy in the family?
It's either the Papa John's pizza they bring in, or it's the tater tots and like the like pancake waffles. Those are so good.
Wow. Okay, that's a first. I don't think we've ever had that on the show. I dig it. Okay, who is the number one friend to Ava that you want to give a shout out right now?
Zoe Wen, she's actually the other powerhouse on my Boardman team. She had 6 goals last night. She's my best friend. So yeah, Zoe.
All right. What is the one sport that people would not believe that you would actually want to play if you had the time to play it?
Rugby.
Rugby.
That's a dope sport that's not around here.
I can't believe Dad would be down for that.
Probably not, but it's I mean, it's an insane sport.
Oh, it's crazy. We got state championships around the 330 in rugby too. So that is a tough sport. As a dad myself, if my daughter ever came to me and said she wanted to play rugby, we'd have to have a little chat. What are the things that you want to accomplish? I mean, obviously everybody has goals in their life, awards or starting a family, stuff like that. What are some of the things that you want to do down the road that maybe you want to get out on the World Wide Web here, so people can look in 20 years and say, hey, she actually did that?
I would definitely, I've been thinking a lot lately. I think I would like to take over my dad's company and definitely push that forward, especially into the new generation. Not calling my dad old, but to like really reach out to these brand new companies that will be starting. There's so many more entrepreneurships being created more and more these days, and being able to reach out to those and just do an empire of just so many small businesses, because that's what really runs this country. So I think definitely helping out with that, taking over that, and reaching out to small businesses.
I like that. That's phenomenal. What is the best pregame meal for lacrosse?
Best pregame meal? Pre-workout.
Just a pre-workout.
Yeah, I just
get you hyped up.
Yep, I just have to get all that, because I usually feel kind of dead before on game days, and I always have to take that to get myself ready, because it's usually an action-packed goal. I'm usually getting 40 shots per game, so
that's a lot. We had that conversation the other night. I mean, do you see that as an opportunity? I mean, some people would see that and go, that's just a lot of work, and get frustrated with what the teammates and the game plan, the strategy. But it seems like you see that as an opportunity to shine, and I like that.
No, I obviously it's tough, and sometimes it does weigh down on me, especially as more and more shots get going. But I also just love it. Like, I love a lot of action down on defense. Obviously, it's not great for the team always, but I really, truly do love it. And I just, I love sometimes when the girls just give it right to my stick on accident, I'll go, thank you. I just love, getting down there and having action and showing the other team that I'm a really, really good goalie.
From a standpoint of being a competitor, what is the thing that you're most competitive in that's not lacrosse?
It's not lacrosse. I would say definitely probably my writing. I love, showing people my writing and being like, hey, is this good? So that they feed my ego a little bit. So I think definitely I'm most competitive about that.
So I know Dad's competitive. How competitive do you and Dad get when you're talking about things off the out of the cage and off the pitch, so to speak? How competitive do you and Dad get?
We get pretty competitive, but when it comes to sports, especially like the NBA and NFL, we have like the same taste. So we really don't have to compete against each other against that stuff. But we do get pretty competitive about other things like I don't know, like we usually will have like who can tell like the funniest story or something like that. Just tiny little stuff, like nothing major. We usually agree on the same things.
I like it. All right. So from a standpoint of where you want to go,
Hmm.
um, and your max potential, like everybody, I'm sure you'll start reading books and here you hit your max. And where are you? Where do you feel you are, and compared to your max potential in lacrosse?
So when I started as a sophomore, which is incredibly late for
Mhm.
lacrosse. And the girl who, when I first joined club, I had no idea what I was doing. The girl I got matched, who I felt like I was pretty equally matched with, had been playing since fifth grade. And at first I saw that as a downside, but as I matured since then, I've realized that the fact that I was able to become right now second in state in Division 1 as a senior and only had 2 years of experience, I feel like I'm not even reaching like my ceiling of what I can get to. And that especially with how many shots I get, I believe I have around 200 saves in the season right now, which is #1 in state. I feel like I'm nowhere near my potential, and if I am given the opportunity, I can, break some ceilings.
So are you familiar with the term elevator pitch?
Yes.
Okay, so now's your opportunity. I'm going to give you 30 seconds for every college coach out there to explain why you are the future of their team at the next level. Go ahead.
I'm the future of your team, whoever you may be, because as I mentioned before, I only have 2 years experience and I'm already at like second in state, #1 in state in saves. I'm top 50 nationally. I love this sport and I love being goalie. It's what I'm so passionate about. I go to practice dedicated. I help my teammates. I am a leader, but I can also listen to my girls and understand, hey, when something is too much or we need to work on something else, or even when I personally need to work on something else. I'm always ready to learn. I'm always ready to be able to be taught new things. I just love learning new aspects of this game, and I love this game so much. I'm so passionate about it, and I can't wait to just keep going and max my full potential with whoever college wants me.
Drilled it. Absolutely drilled it. That might be the best elevator pitch I've ever heard. That's incredible. Nice job, young lady.
Thank you.
Ty chiming in. I'm going to kind of tail end off of this one as we typically end with segments about your family and your background. It seems your dad has had a huge influence on your life. What's the most memorable / impactful advice he's ever given to you?
I think the most memorable thing, especially from both of my parents, my mom included, is just their support. Whatever I may decide, whatever I want to do with my life, like anything like that, my parents have just always been 100% behind me for no matter what, whether even if they disagreed with it, even if they're like, especially when I did quit swimming, my dad was kind of upset with me, but he still supported me in that decision. So honestly, I think the most impactful thing is that my parents have just been behind me 100%.
All right. So I'm going to tailspin off of that and ask you the question of, out of your role models, your parents, right?
Hmm.
What one kind of, not bit of advice, but one piece of your parent, each one of them, would you take and you would say that is one of your strengths as you lead on the next adventure of your life here in a few weeks when you graduate?
I think from my dad, I would take his ability to sell himself, which I've been doing this entire interview, but that ability. And then from my mother, I would definitely take her strength because she's just been through so much in her life and she's always been able to persevere through it. So I think that's what I take from both my parents.
Obviously, I know school has been a huge impact on you as well. Who's been or who are some of the favorite teachers and educators that you've had along the way?
Definitely my English teacher, Mrs. Piper from 8th grade, my senior teacher, English also, Mr. Shirtliff, and then I think my history teacher from 8th grade, Mr. Nypaver, are definitely three that I've kept their advice in my head and, just enjoyed being in their class so much.
All right, last question for you. I promise. I know you've been on a little bit longer than I anticipated, and then I promised you, but you've been awesome. What piece of advice, as a young lady going to college, would you give to the younger Ava, maybe 5, 6, 7 years old, for these young ladies that see you as a role model nowadays? What advice would you give them, and what advice would you give yourself had you been 5, 6, 7 years old?
I think for the other girls out there, not me, I think I would say it's never too late to start doing what you love. You know, you might feel like you're behind and you might seem like, oh, these people have been playing for years or whatever it is you're doing. It's never too late to chase what you really want to do. Because if you really want to do, you will put that work in and you will have that talent and you will get where you want to go. And then
Hey, go ahead. Keep going. Keep rolling. Roll with it, sister.
Honestly, no, that's the same advice I give to myself. So just don't give up.
I can appreciate you so much. We're so proud of you. You've come so far in such a small frame of time. I can only wish that you have just as much success in the next 50 years that you had in the last 3 in the sport of lacrosse. Ava, you're a role model. You're a hero to many of the young ladies and young kids out there. Continue doing what you do, and I'm sure that the sky's the limit for you. Thanks for stopping by the show today.
Thanks so much for having me.
You got it. There she goes. Ava Edrick, just amazing young lady. And that's the most important part. As great as she is, and she's state ranked across the board in lacrosse as a goalie and one of the best goalies, if not the best goalie in the entire 330 area, which is important. She's just as good of a person. So thank you to Ava for stopping by the show here today on the Ysn Power Hour presented by Toyota of Warren. We're going to take a break. We come back. Still more. We got Dwayne Pavkovich coming up right after the break, right here on the Ysn Power Hour, brought to you by these great sponsors.
We believe expectations are made to be exceeded. At the new Toyota of Warren, it's about more than just getting a great deal. It's about service you can count on and a friendship you can trust. Year after year, we've done what we do best. We've gone the extra mile so you could too. Because we know it's just not about buying a new car. It's the start of a new adventure. Toyota of Warren, driven by you.
Hi, this is Zell Bush.
Hi, this is Tom Clint. Hi, this is Steve Rossetto.
Hi, this is Ryan Miller.
Hi, this is Rich Sakui from WRS Wealth Advisors.
With our combined 80 years of experience,
WRS Wealth Advisors are the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Call 330-965-0370 to learn more about our individual and corporate financial planning services.
Or visit WRSwealth.com.
go Raiders.
Go Dogs.
Go Cats. Go Dogs. Go Tigers.
Jimmy Sudman here, Director of Isle, Purple Cat, and Golden String. We are happy to support YSN and 2 of my favorite people, Scotty Mincher and Super Dave O'Malley. We are an agency that provides services for adults with disabilities. We infuse humor, passion, and joy into their lives. If you know of any folks with disabilities that need our assistance, please contact us.
Reliability, innovation, scale. These 3 values are those we look forward to in our business and in our team. If you're ready for a reliable employer who looks constantly to think outside the box in big ways, we're ready for you. Apply now. Help us push the envelope and deliver success. Envelope 1. Take that one extra step.
Winter, spring, summer, and fall. Mill Creek Metro Parks is your park for all seasons. Make a memory in the park. Plan your visit today at millcreekmetroparks.org.
Hi, everybody. Welcome into another Coach's Corner. We're going to go a little bit deeper and go athletic directors. Well, I don't have a very fancy name for that yet, but we're going to stick to one of my coaches, one of the OGs, a guy that I have known for a very long time, well before he was in East Palestine, Dwayne Pavkovich. Welcome, my friend. Welcome aboard.
Well, no, thank you, DJ. Thanks for having me.
It's always a pleasure. So much to talk about, but one of the things we're going to start out with is very, very positive. You, my friend, have been not only awarded, but granted and honored with this Athletic Director Award for Sportsmanship, Ethics, and Integrity. brought to you by the NEOIAAA. That easy for me to say, but get an award at any level is awesome. But what does this award mean to you as someone who's racked them up along his career? Where is this going to go in the trophy case?
Well, I think it's very humbling. Just to think that one of my peers, someone that's also an athletic director that knows what the day-to-day operations is like, knows what what we're dealing with day-to-day, nominate me for this award. It's very humbling that one of my equals feels that I'm deserving of this award. So it's pretty awesome. Like you said, DJ, awards are awards, and we accumulate them the longer we live on this earth. Unfortunately, they don't. When we're young, they just don't. Everybody gets the same award, but somebody in the conference or in the state or the region nominated me, and the executive committee of the NEO IAAA, felt that I was a deserving candidate. So I very much am humbled by it.
And this isn't an award that is given out regularly to people that we know about here in the YSN community. This is something that it's been a few years since someone has achieved this award and had this award. So to be kind of the unicorn in 2023, what does it mean to you, Pav?
Well, like I said, it's humbling. I think 2013 was the last time this was awarded. It was awarded to an athletic director up in Trumbull County. No one in Columbiana County, has won this award in the award's existence. So I feel very, very honored. I mean, it's, and not to mention, when it talks about, sportsmanship, integrity, ethics, and stuff like that, those are things I try to pride myself on. And we try to build with our student athletes and our students here in East Palestine. So again, this is special on a couple different levels.
You've been a great AD since you stepped into EP. You've done a lot of great things for all programs, but this year's been a little bit different. I think we all know why. Can you talk to me about how things changed for February 3rd of 2023?
Yeah, I mean, we just got done with the basketball game, against United. I was loading my son up in the car, and the skies lit up. At that point in time, I didn't know what happened. I didn't know what was going on, and I really didn't know what the next 2.5 months was going to entail. They don't prepare you for the you get a master's in educational leadership, and they don't prepare you for an event like this. We were very fortunate here in East Palestine. We have great leadership, and Chris Knifer has been unbelievable. The superintendent here, he's been a great person to follow. His example. Talk about conflict management. I've learned a ton from Mr. Knifer through this whole process. We've dealt with everything. From the situation with girls basketball, our girls earning a playoff spot, earning a home game, us not knowing if our girls are going to be able to meet one of their goals, having to go all the way through the appeal process to the state, to battling through just finding out, hey, are people actually going to come here in the springtime? What are we going to have to do? Obviously we're trying to keep as normal an experience, for our students and student athletes, through the process. Then we throw on top of it, one of our big ticket sports. I mean, with track and the invitationals and the amount of revenue we bring in, teams are backing out left and right. So we had a bunch of plates spinning in the air here, all just to try to normalize the experience for our student athletes and try to make sure that our senior student athletes get the memories and the experiences that they deserve, due to a situation that had no fault of their own.
Yeah, I think the crazy part about what you're talking about is this is the senior class that dealt with COVID their freshman year. So they understand what this is all about. They've been through this before in some aspect. But from your standpoint, I guess when people ask me about how it's been in East Palestine, I compare it to COVID, and I don't know if that's a right thing or a wrong thing, but how does this compare to the crisis that was a national pandemic and COVID? And really, it's like our very own kind of pandemic, kind of here in East Palestine, without having any of the the science, I guess, that backs the other side.
Well, no, I mean, DJ, I think two things. One, I think COVID taught us a lot for this situation. It prepared us, for just the chaos that was going to happen with, with this train derailment. With I think things would be, magnified if we didn't have the experience that we had dealing with, COVID from the initial shutdown all the way through that whole year of sports with all the obstacles and restrictions that were placed. So we had to learn to navigate and be able to be creative, along with the public relations side. Being able to have conversations with people, make sure that they feel that they're getting what they need out of the experience. So I think COVID, it did happen, but it did help us in this situation. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now, from the in-season part of it, or dealing with the opponents, it's very much like COVID, because we had situations during COVID that schools didn't want to play because of a medical or a health issue. Much like some of the reasons we're getting why teams don't want to come and participate here on East Palestine's campus. It goes to the medical side of things, but all this is all stirred by both sides of it, by the fear mongering that really both events, both situations, revolved around. There's a lot of fear mongering and a lot of unknown. And in both events, too much information was a bad thing. There's so much information available, especially in those two situations, that I feel like we've kind of lost the ability to be able to fact check. I think some of the misnomers and false information really hurt and hampered our ability to try to maximize the experience through both situations.
Now, one of the things that you and I have talked about is kind of the impact on revenue during from February 3rd on to today even. And people don't realize that you said the big ticket, one of the big ticket items is track season. Baseball and softball, basically non-revenue generating sports in that capacity. But there's an impact on revenue outside of just EPHS. You have JO tournaments, you have EPYSA that you guys are integrated with. How big has this impact been on you from a revenue standpoint? And what are some of the plans that you're utilizing, and maybe partnerships, if you're willing to speak on them, that you're utilizing to help bring it back into the fold and kind of make things right again?
Well, yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, through the whole thing, we're, a conservative estimate. Obviously, we still have a couple more, 3 larger track meets to go through. But people understand that track makes about 40% revenue for our athletic budget. We host 6 to 7 large track meets. Not only do we get the entry fees, but we need the gate sales, which is the gate sales are right in line with what a 5-game football schedule season is for varsity. Not to mention I would venture to say in some of our meets we have more people in the stadium than we do on a Friday night in some aspects, depending upon the number of schools. Hell, I mean, a couple of years ago at the Bulldog, we had like 29 schools, 48 teams. So that's a lot of parents, that's a lot of people. So that hurt us, and you're right that we've worked really hard here to create partnerships with our youth programs, or EPYSA, along with outside organizations like JO, youth wrestling, different things. That made about a $40,000 shortcoming, going into our spring sports. And then, right now anticipated with track, we're anticipating, $30,000, $35,000 loss in revenue, from the lack of attendance, with our spring sport track season. So we have to make that up one way or another. We have reached out to, larger corporations. I mean, the businesses of East Palestine have always been great to the student athletes of East Palestine. they are generous, and they want to create the best environment and experience, for our student athletes. But the reality is a trainer element. I mean, it affected the whole town. We can't go to these businesses in town because they're worried about just keeping their doors open. They're fighting the same battles we are with people not wanting to come in town. So we can't go to those people that we traditionally go to because they're fighting their own battles. So we have to kind of look at some larger scale corporations. We've had multiple conversations with Dick's Sporting Goods, trying to work out a deal with them to try to help to normalize our student athletes experience. We also have had a conversation with higher ups to Under Armour, to try to work with them. We continue both conversations, hoping to hammer out a deal to try to make up for those lost revenues. So we'll see what happens, but we are trying to we're trying to do everything we can to so our student athletes don't lose anything through this train derailment experience.
One of the things that I've seen and I've loved from being able to kind of see and have conversations with you and Chris and other people in the district is how much the outside, right? The other school districts have stepped up and said, hey, we want to be able to help. We want to be part of this. We want to be part of the solution of getting East Palestine back on its feet. How great has that been? I'm sure you had a number of conversations with other athletic directors, superintendents, and people outside East Palestine and other districts that want to help out. How great has that been to have that camaraderie?
Well, I think it's great, but I think it goes along with the Valley mentality. We live in a very special part of the country. We live in a true community. This Mahoning Valley area is unique. It's not like this everywhere. People that have gone away and come back, they understand that. People that have never left here they don't understand it. But this place is Valley strong. We support each other, which is very, very unique. And I really respect the fact that whether it's Mahoning, Trumbull, Columbiana County Schools, they've really tried to get behind us. I think that's a professional and mutual respect that that we have for people in our profession. But I really think this is just something that people that are raised here, it's just inbred in us. We take care of our own.
See, I'm really excited to bring this full circle now because you're winning awards. Obviously, the sports teams looking to win those awards. When those kids roll up to you, when those student athletes roll up to you and say, what does this award mean to you? How do you take it from what it, you talked about, you win these awards as you get older and you get wiser and you get that free haircut that you and I have.
Yes.
But from a standpoint of how you educate and help these youth and the student athletes realize what awards really mean and what it takes to win them. How does this going to help you do that for this year's class?
Well, I walked in the office this morning after a meeting and, we had a group of students that, it wasn't planned. They were in the office and, they were like, congratulations, great job. I made a point that I said, listen, guys, my name may be on that award, but this is an East Palestine award. This award doesn't happen without everybody pulling in the same direction. Everybody believing in the mission and vision that we have. I said, as much as my name's on the award, this is an East Palestine award. This is an award that East Palestine has won because you guys have been compliant and followed what our expectations are.
Incredible. One of the greatest softball players I've ever known in my entire life, and one of the best coaches, as also offensive coordinator for the Westminster Titans at one point. So, Avkovich, one of my heroes, one of my favorites, one of the biggest supporters we have at YSN. Thanks so much for the time. I appreciate it, and congratulations again on an award well deserved.
Thanks, DJ.
Helps when you turn the audio on. It is the Joe Dickey Electric What's Your Spark, presented by Joe Dickey Electric. Anything commercial, residential, industrial, anything electrical head on over to dickieelectric.com today. Tell them YSN sent you. So the spark is once again, our friends at the OHSAA and the ODE getting involved, and just sometimes we had this conversation not too long ago, maybe even yesterday, that sometimes you're right and sometimes you're wrong. And it takes a big person, right? As big as in mature, to admit that they're wrong. And I'm just going to put it out there that there could be something on the horizon that upsets a lot of people in this valley, because some people just don't want to admit that they were wrong and that what is in the past is in the past. So I guess my biggest thing is stay tuned, number one. And number two is, when you're wrong, be the bigger person and admit you're wrong, apologize, and make it right. You don't have to like that person or like that situation necessarily. Just make it right. Make it whole again, right? That's what we keep hearing around here. Let's make it whole again. Make it right. And that's all you have to do. That's all anybody's ever asking for. And, you know, we live with too many people that are doing the wrong thing and penalizing the other person for it. I don't understand that. I don't understand how you make the wrong and you act like they wronged you. I'll never understand that. That is going to do it for our show today. I want to thank our guests, Ava Hedrick, and of course, Dwayne Pavkovich, for stopping by on the show. We've got another full show for you tomorrow. Thursday, we will have a show live from Valley Christian, their brand new weight facility. We're going to show that off a little bit. We'll have some special interviews there. Hopefully, the one and only Dolph Carroll will join us, the athletic director at Valley Christian, with some exciting things about what the Eagles are doing. And I have to believe that my good buddy Andy Hake will be on the show on Thursday. So that's something to look forward to naturally as we move towards the rest of the week. Tomorrow, a very special show. We'll have a little bit of a wrestling take on the show, as Chris Colucci will join us, as well as a very special wrestler from Crestview. So we will give you more information tomorrow when the press releases go out and the invites to watch the show. And on Friday, Scotty Mincher will join us as well for another very special show here on the network. Until tomorrow, Wednesday, we will see you. Have a great Tuesday. Make it worth your while. And we will see you 3 o'clock tomorrow on the show right here on your sports network. God bless you. We love you. We'll see you tomorrow. YSN thanks you